Welcome to Livzenastrology, the channel for updates and reflections, where we are grounded in the stars and elevated by consciousness. Thank you for tuning in.
So, receiving an image, especially with this full moon eclipse approaching on the 28th of October 2023, just really contemplating Taurus, the energy of Taurus and the energy of Scorpio. And I find it so interesting because lately in my meditations, I've been seeing images of tubes of tubes of like, okay, when you're on a slide, a slippery slide, or you go to a water park and you go sliding down those tubes, right? That type of tube energy is what I was seeing, that. And then the intestines, like the inner intestines, and just, contemplating how energy moves and how energy is formed in matter itself. And I guess this meditation that I had with the whale really sparred this line of thinking with tubes. And don't worry, I'm going to relate this all back to Alchemy and Scorpio and what we were talking about before. So it is connected. But this is just what, like I said, through Scorpio's season, which started shifting energies back on the 21st, 22nd, I could really feel it. And then this meditation with a whale came in, and which sparked the invitation to consider how energy moves through tubes. So in this meditation, I've been working with a TM, transcendental meditation, daily, 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening. The evening practice is harder to commit to, honestly, but the morning practice, the AM, not morning, the AM practice has been amazing. So sitting down in my TM meditation, which goes into nothingness, how I get into nothingness is I say my mantra repetitively over and over and over, go into no mind. But how I do it is I pretend I go into the ocean and I drop deep down into the water. And I always see whales there traveling with me as I'm getting down to the unconscious, saying my mantra over and over and over for 20 minutes. So in this one meditation, this one TM journey, I went down to get into no state, no mind, nothingness, and a whale actually started speaking to me telepathically. And I said hello and introduced myself, and it already seemed to know who I was, and it just invited it in to share space with me. I said, okay, well, what does that look like? Because I was very transparent and saying that I was scared of the whale because it's huge. It's this big blue whale. It's massive. So in my imagination station, I was just like this little barnacle compared to this whale. And so I was intimidated. I was scared. And I just professed it. I said, I'm a little intimidated and nervous by this. And so the whale said, why don't you come inside me? It's more comfortable here. And so, like the movie Avatar 2, I don't know if you guys have seen that movie yet, but there was this beautiful scene where, well, I don't want to spoil it, but anyway, it was a beautiful scene that corresponded to this meditation. And in the meditation, the whale said, why don't you come inside me? Invited me in to its space. And when it opened its mouth, it was actually pure light. And it looked like a portal or a vortex. It was spinning energy of light that had mandalas and sparkly. It was beautiful. It looked like galaxies in there. So I wasn't intimidated at all. Actually, I was like mesmerized. So I went into this whale, and like I said, it was like a portal. And as the whale was swimming along, I could feel it. And then I just looked around, realizing, wow, it's kind of shaped like a tube. Like from the outer perspective, I pulled myself back all of a sudden, because meditation, you can do that, right? You can use your imagination and go any which direction, like a dragonfly. And so I immediately pulled out. I was in this whale simultaneously, multidimensionally. I was able to observe myself outside the whale, and from a very high vantage point. Like if I pulled myself, I was pulling backwards, going into outer space, and then still had a focal point of the whale. And when I was, zooming out, I could see that the whale looked like a tube, and I'm in this whale traveling in a galaxy, and it was spinning, like a spinning wheel of light, kind of blue bluish actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Like I said, with mandala colors. And anyway, traveling in this whale, in the spinning wheel of light, and then also seeing the outer part of it. This whale looks like a tube. And so I was getting this whole upload or download from the akashic record in that moment. So explaining the akashic record really quickly, I have been shown, this is my experience with the akashic record, is that it's a library, it's a field that it's like a library in our minds of what we perceive knowledge to be stored. But it's always around you, and it's almost as if you're present with the energy, then what you need shows up right in front of you when you need it, like a library book that says, oh, I need to know how to fix that. And all of a sudden this big red binder book shows up in the field, which is the Akash, and it's just this terabyte of information. And if you're open and you're present, then you can access that, and it's right then and there. So the fact that we have memory and we can access pretty much, we are the AI technology, if you will, or, we were the internet, now we're upgraded to AI, and who knows what we really are, but we're still just remembering, which is the upgrade is remembering. But so we continue to upgrade, we continue to remember. We already have this technology inside of us that we already have access to these fields of energy, which is the Akash. And so in that moment, as I'm swimming through the whale, the Akash energy that I was able to tap into was showing me how everything is in tubes, and that energy travels through tubes and the earth and a vessel. And it has to, in order, because otherwise we're just dark matter, light particle forms. There's nothing, no container, right? So our bodies are the containers of these tubes, of these energy fields that we travel through. And so I just wanted to acknowledge whale medicine for showing me, blue whale medicine specifically, for showing me that bit of information and understanding of how energy works and how all this, what's really happening. If you take time and space, nature will show you. So going back to alchemy and going back to, the spinning wheels of like the chakras, the rainbow body, there's that space in between where one color shifts from another color. So this is turning into like a free form thought of conversation. So I'm just going to go with it because it's, my moon is conjunct Mercury in Scorpio, and this is Scorpio season, and my sun's in Scorpio. And so it's in with this eclipse approaching between Taurus and Scorpio, it's really just sharing energy with me in really profound, deep ways, right? Like aha, intense terabytes of information can be accessed at this time if you really do the work and you go in and you just allow. And that's the mantra I've been working with is allow. I allow, we allow, meaning we, my cells, my organs, just allow the information to come in, because the akashic, the akash, the energy that surrounds us is really vibrant and really accessible right now. They say this is because the veil between the realms is thinnest during this time, which is why we, during Halloween and during this window portal, these weeks ahead, we can access our ancestors because the veils are thinner. So also the veils are thinner between you and the Akash, which is you and all the information of everything that's ever happened, is happening, or will happen, and you have access to it. So if you pay attention, if you're in the now time moment, you're doing your meditation practices, you're working with very precise alchemy, then you're going to have a magical experience depending on what it is you want to create. So this was the information that was coming in as far as, free form energy, alchemizing energy, how energy moves in currents through tubes. So this is leading me to digestion, which was leading me to consumption, which is leading me to the access point between Taurus and Scorpio, which I find very interesting because in astrology, when you look at a wheel with all the 12 signs, one sign is always going to be opposite another. So right now, what creates full moons in astrology are oppositions between the sun and the moon. So if the sun is in a certain sign, if it's a full moon, the moon will always be its opposite, right? So these are the poles of energy. And we have the North Pole, the South Pole, we have the two hemispheres, right? The poles of the mind. So there's an axis point in astrology. So really from that periphery or point of perspective, you could say that there's 6 signs with the opposition poles of other 6 signs. So we're breaking it down to 6, which is also what I'm just now being shown is also 6-dimensional planes of existence that we're working with astrologically. If we're working with astrology, and of course there's always the 13th sign, that's going to be for another conversation another day. But yeah, so the poles of energy right now that are being highlighted with this eclipse is Scorpio, which is the sun is in Scorpio, and then the moon, which is in Taurus. So I'm like, okay, how does that correspond within my body? Well, I look at what the planets or the signs rule within the body, and you can go online and check that out, or I can send you a free ebook that I've created that shows that axis point or what sign rules what part of the body. And it starts with Aries, the head, then Taurus, the throat, and then Gemini, the hands, anything too. So it just goes all the way down to Pisces and the feet, right? So looking at the axis point of Taurus, which is the throat, which is, what does Taurus mean? Taurus rules our body, our values, our money, also our senses, what we taste, touch, feel, smell, perceive. All this is Taurus, right? So I'm thinking of the correspondences in the body. Taurus is literally food, right? What you put in your body. Where do you put that food? You put it in your mouth. You put it in that portal, which is your mouth, right? An opening, and it goes down a tube, right? Here's the tube of energy. And I find it so interesting that it has to travel the tube of energy of what you just consumed after working with alchemy, which is Scorpio, because alchemy is, say, for example, if you have prepared the meal, you would have alchemized it. You would have put it together in a certain way. Even your vegan vegetarians out there, if you're doing salad or any kind of, it might be moderate preparation, but you're still preparing what it is you're going to consume. That preparation is alchemy. Okay, that's Scorpio. So you've taken time to do your alchemy. Now you're ingesting what you've just what you're consuming, you're alchemizing, you're putting it through the portal, it goes down the tube. And what I found interesting is that it has to travel through the heart, right? The heart of the matter, the heart. And what I was shown, again, through the whale medicine, my meditation with this tube frequency, is that there's certain geometric patterns that are being emitted from the vibration of each chakra point, which would be your heart space, right? So the fact that whatever it is we have to consume or that we alchemize, the opening is through the portal, then through the throat, down the tube, and the esophagus. But it has to travel through the heart. So it has to get alchemized, I would say, because we're going to Scorpio, through the geometric pattern that's being emitted through the heart, right? So that's a form of alchemy, because it's almost as if, and that's why it matters that you love your food, right? Because what it's doing is it's really emitting that frequency, that geometric pattern really strongly when you love what you're consuming, which when you show appreciation and gratitude, then that as it travels through the tube and through that frequency, it energizes it, right? It heals it. It makes it into a crystalline, beautiful pattern, which makes it digestible for the body, right? Because the energy still has to keep going to the tube, to the stomach. And then this is where, deep alchemy continues to happen with the acids and the digestion and the enzymes and the things, the micro flora and the bacteria, these organisms, because they're helping us to consume, to process this energy, this whatever it is we just merged with, right? And its final resting point after all the alchemy has been done and compacted and put into a nice, again, tube, colon, it's ready to be released, extracted, excreted, which is Scorpio, right? So the bottom of the tube, the top of the tube would be Taurus, right? There's the pole, like if you think of like a North Pole would be Taurus, and then the South Pole would be Scorpio, which is your rectum, because if you look at the part of the body that Scorpio rules, it's genitalia, and the processes it rules is excrement and release, after you've digested and processed everything that you've consumed or merged with through your senses and through your alchemy and preparation of food, Taurus, entering it through that portal, going down the tube all the way, past certain frequencies of the heart and the stomach. And again, these all are geometric patterns that are emitting frequencies in the body to be blessed, to be alchemized. It's part of it. And then its final resting, its final excretion part would be Scorpio. So how is this all connected to this sun and moon eclipse that's happening on the axis point of Taurus and Scorpio? For me, I can tell you, well, I'm still working with the energy, quite frankly. Now that it's funny because my progressed Mercury is actually in Sagittarius right now. And that's another thing in astrology, if you want to check out and look at your progressed or relocated progressed chart, because just like we evolve, our planets and our chart moves as well. It's like a time clock. So you can check out livzenastrology.com for a list of services there if you want to see, what you want to look at your progress chart and see where the planets have moved and evolved with you, and maybe the house placements it's shifted into. So for me, I can speak on my progressed, my natal, when I was born, Mercury was right next to the moon in Scorpio, my 12th house. Well, now it's progressed, and it's based on where I'm living now in this time, space, location, and my age, what I'm at now, which I'm going to be 50 here in a few days, October 27th. My progressed Mercury is in Sagittarius in the 10th house. Actually, it's 10th and 11th house, because I don't use whole house. I use the porphyry, which again, now I can link back to why I was talking about the nebulous colors of the rainbow. That's why I use that house system, is because the energy of the signs tend to bleed into each other, if you will, and it's where one part becomes the other. So that's why I don't use whole house systems, because I just want to see where that energy is transiting in between what space, because it looks to me like a rainbow. And that's, when I look at my wheel, my chart, it looks like a rainbow. It's like, okay, well, this energy of Sagittarius is coloring over not just my 10th house, but my 11th house. So 10th is career. How do I want to share and teach and share the astrology wisdom in my 10th house career, right? My achievement, to what the 11th house, groups, organizations. So you see that Sagittarius is coloring both of those spaces like a wheel of a rainbow would be coloring the chart. So now my progressed Mercury is in Sagittarius conjunct Neptune in Sagittarius. So I'm philosophizing quite a bit. I'm still learning how to approach the energy and how to work with it, but that Sag mind wants to know the law, right? I want to know the mechanism. Oh, why does this work this way? I want to see the body part of it. I want to see the mechanics of it. That's what I got fascinated with during the Scorpio season, is that there's mechanics to this energy, to this frequency. And now through Sagittarius, it's like, okay, how do I take the mechanics and make it applied wisdom? And so this is the journey for me as my progressed Sag is in the 10th and 11th house. How am I going to share it with groups, organizations? How can I actually, turn this possibly into career through the astrology, because I love it. I do it every day, whether, It's something, it's something you do every day. You don't get paid for it. You would do it for free. That's astrology to me. So again, these are just considerations on how I'm working with the energy and processing this access point with this eclipse, because I also know the eclipse, historically they say eclipse takes things away, which is also alchemy, because that's another consideration is, this access point, the poles between Taurus and Scorpio, is that things are changing and they're never going to be brought back ever the same way. So going back to the storyline or the analogy of the body, when you do things in Taurus and it gets to that tube and past the heart and into the stomach where true alchemy begins, when it converts to excrement and leaves the vessel, it was forever changed. So that burger you ate, that fruit, that, ice cream, whatever it is you consumed with, a vegetable, it went through a whole alchemic process through Scorpio, and it was forever changed through Scorpio. And then it's released to go back to the earth in some form. And that's another conversation as to maybe how Scorpio is released and what we do. There's an honoring there because, Scorpio is all about ritual. And so how do we ritualize this whole process of transformation, literally, where we imbibed, ingested, consumed with Taurus of the earth, and then alchemized it in our bodies, through our tubes, through our processes, our geometric patterns. And then we released it. We let it go. We created something. We created and then we released and let it go. So through Scorpio, it's excrement, but at the same time, that's also a metaphor for what are you consuming, digesting through your media watching, through the people you're talking to, the people you're hanging around, right? Because Scorpio wants to merge with the others. Scorpio is all about consuming, digesting, wanting to create with the other in a sensual way, Taurus, right? So these are, again, just considerations on how to work with the energy and how to utilize, and just know that everything is alchemy. And if you do intentional, purposeful alchemy, and in the now time moment, by being very present with the energy, the akashic records, or the akash, is so present and prevalent right now. The veils are thin. Access to these records, these information packets that you need anytime now can be magnetized. So work on your magnetism, right? And magnetism is related to the word desire, which is also Scorpio. So what do you desire? You want to sire, you want to bring into form. And, it's going to come through the heart space. Whatever you decide to digest, consume, it's going to travel through the heart space. It's going to be alchemized. The first, to me, one of the first major alchemic points in this whole process is the heart. So if you're really also coming from the desire body, not just the lower realms, right, which is Scorpio, which is sexual, but also from the heart, what brings you joy, what brings you excitement and elevation from that space. And then you meet those 2 points, 0 point, and then the akashic records, that and now time energy will show you exactly what you need, what you desire, what you want, what your heart wants. Not only what your genitals want, your stomach wants, but what your heart wants, right? All the systems are a go, because there's alignment. There's the veils between these realms, which is what your own realms are thinner. So just being very, very deliberate in your consumption right now of everything. And your sexual partners too, because that's also the correspondence that I was shown in meditation is, yes, there's a portal and an opening at the Taurus realm, which is where you consume your food. But then there's also a portal and an opening in the genital realm of Scorpio, which is where you merge with the other, right? That's why when you look at the glyph of Scorpio, it has that tail that's pointing up. That's like it wants to merge, right? It wants to go into a realm, a portal in the netherworld merge with, to create alchemy with another. And that's through, again, creation, but creation in a different way, which is creating human form, right? Creating life. So these concepts are deep. They're really intricate, and I'm still working with the energy. I'm still learning to embody the wisdom of this, but I just wanted to share and reflect upon this energy of the Scorpio and Taurus axis. Really grateful that you guys hung out with me on this journey as I'm just learning to explore and talk on and just really reflect, because these are thoughts that come to me specifically after working with certain plant medicines as well. And so, but I don't ever know what to do with it. So this is just a really great outlet, and I'm learning to catch the waves of content as it comes through. Again, learning to alchemize and consume the energy differently as it comes through, which is another way to harness this eclipse full moon energy. Okay, thanks for spending time with me, guys. Go do your Scorpio Taurus and enjoy this full moon. A lot of things are going to be illuminated as to what wants to be, what the desire body, what the heart body wants, and what's ready to be consumed with, what's ready to be merged with at this time. So, love you guys. Happy creating. Blessings to you.